The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. Race number 3 of the Area iRacing Week gives us the Florida Estate Pro Builders here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. After a crazy wild card to close out the regular season, let's go to the short track and start off our round of 12, our 2-round playoff set here at Thunder Valley. Who will be the king of the concrete? Who will be frustrated on the back of a rollback? Stay tuned for about 2 hours and we'll answer all of those questions for you. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage of, as I said, the Area Pro Series playoffs, brought to you by Florida Estate Builders for 188 laps. You think of that lap number at Talladega, but we're doing it here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Gonna be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and pressing the buttons in the production truck, and Hunter Sleppy back with me here this evening for what should be a fun race. Now, you covered a relatively clean race on Monday night, and I covered a cluster bleep on Tuesday night. Which of the two do we see here tonight, Hunter?
I would say maybe a little bit of both. I don't think we get as many yellows as we did on Tuesday night, but I will say we might get another late race yellow again like we did on Monday night, and that seemed to be the defining storyline heading into next week's playoff race for Nashville. The late yellow came in, Kwame Scott came and won in the Cup Series because he pitted, and tire wear was a big factor in that. So might be interesting. We've only had one overtime finish here. That was back in season 5, but usually we get a caution with about 10 to go, and that could change everything in the race. Last year, it made a difference. Sean Furness won with a last lap pass because of the late yellows. He pitted, took tires, and was miles ahead of the field and wound up winning with a last lap pass. So it could happen again, but I'm looking at the playoff guys to sneak through and dominate on the night.
Yeah, we'll see that what happens there. And we were talking off air just before, trying to dot our I's and T's before the broadcast, and it did seem as such that 2 playoff drivers are missing today. We'll see if maybe their last second Larrys hop in, but let's have a little bit of a briefing as to where our playoff standings lie here. Entering, you see that number 24 on screen briefly. Of course, with his dominant season, he is going to be the one on the top with a 34-point buffer right off the jump there, Hunter. That's basically going to give him, I'd say, round 1 immunity, barring absolute catastrophe there. But going from Scioli in second all the way back to Evans, who is not, at the time of this sentence here, that's only 21 points. A lot can shake up here at Bristol from second to 12th.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We saw it happen Monday in the Cup Series. There were some yellows that caught up a good bit of drivers that were running in the playoff points. Like you mentioned, Dylan Ault in the Cup Series, how he's been so good this season. He was caught up in multiple wrecks, and then he's now on the outside looking in for next week's race. And we don't have Zach Nichols or Jonathan Evans so far. There's still time for them to join the sim and possibly qualify, but if those two aren't in, that could really mean for a disaster. I mean, Jonathan Evans is already last in points anyway, and then Zach Nichols, he enters 4th in the point standings heading into this race. So if he doesn't make it, that could be huge for guys like Nate Stewart, Blaze McKinney, and Justin Opplinger, who are on the outside looking to make their way into the round of 8.
And you know, what I just told you off air there, Hunter, I'll tell it to our audience here. You have Daniel Day and Michael Venable in 13th and 14th. Who's going to be knocking on that admin holler saying, hey, they missed it, let me in, let me in? I don't think it works like that, but That's going to make that 13th and 14th place look a lot worse. And Daniel Day, mind you, I know you weren't with us at Talladega last week, Hunter. Daniel Day drove the race of his life there, trying to get himself into the playoffs. Just missed it on a last lap shuffle there. But qualifying underway here. Everybody will make the race. Let's watch some of these laps as they cross the stripe. You got Ed Robertson at a 14 flat. 15 flat. Brad Slaughter now going top of the board. Now here's the money lap to watch. Sebastian Marin not top of the board, surprisingly.
Yeah, this will be a good indicator of who to keep an eye on for during the race, and they do get 2 laps here in qualifying. Marin's going to come off turn 4. Can he dethrone Brad Slaughter? And it looks like he will. 14.849 is the time to beat.
There goes Jeremy Miller trying to get himself situated here. And many drivers still waiting for a few. But Travis Beckner, he's starting a lap. He won the Truck Series race at Bristol on Tuesday night, which was, again, not to bring up Brad Slaughter, but it was a slaughter fest there. Not trying to bring in that pun into the mix, but let's see. Garrett Grant only a few hundredths off of Marin. Let's see what Beckner can do. 93. That should put him around 4th or 5th. 4th. And look at Nico Servideo sliding in 5th right now. That's an impressive lap for him.
Yeah, the only down thing about Travis Beckner, he's one of the drivers that has an EOL in the field, so his starting position for tonight will not matter. He'll have to come from the back to the front if he wants to have a good finish, rather than starting up front and having that track position early on. Meanwhile, another playoff driver, John Forbes Jr., rolling through. Going to see what time he puts down. It's going to be a 15-second time. Not going to be fast enough for pole yet. We'll see what lap 2 has in store.
Yeah, we'll see coming off of the corner here, turns 3 and 4. And going back to Travis Beckner for a second as we watch this lap at 87. That's a pretty good one. That essentially ties him with Jeff Wright in the iRacing. They will go into the 10,000s, but yeah, they will give the itch there. Look at Greg Mitchell breaking up the party.
David Weishart dethroning Sebastian Marin, a new pole sitter with just 2 minutes remaining in qualifying, a 14.82 for David Weishart. Not sure anyone had him on the bingo card at dethroning Sebastian Marin, at least for the time being. Venable spins coming off 4. Cross the stripe. Not sure if that lap counted or not, but the 13 of DeWeese looks like he already made his time. He's 14th on the board. Yeah,
that leaves 25 drivers who have turned their laps and still waiting on a few. Looks like here comes a couple of the last second Larrys. We got Justin Opplinger. He is going to pull out of the pits, and we do have the dual pit configuration here, Hunter. So even though the EOL drivers, if they could stay on the lead lap, that'll be huge. Big wiggle there from Opplinger. But we will be the top 21 drivers pit on the front stretch, the rest pit on the back stretch. Shouldn't be too big of an issue here with the single pit road configuration of Bristol. Just means the pit road sequence is that much longer. Opplinger with a 24th place lap. He will look to recover here on this one.
Yeah, there were a couple of guys that had issues Monday night. They drove through both pit lanes not knowing what pit stall they were in, so I'm not sure if we're going to have that issue tonight. Opplinger
P3.
Currently 3rd quickest. That's good for him. Only 2 1,000ths off of Sebastian Marin. Here's James Scioli in the 7, looking to start his playoff or chance at a championship strong in the playoffs.
Let's see what he can do. He won at Kansas, if memory serves, beating Jake in a semi-photo finish there, and he'll go top of the board. That is a 14.787. Nichols and Scioli, same order that they finished at Kansas a few weeks ago, and that will put them top of the board here. Oh, here he comes. Last second Larry into the session. Zach Nichols at the buzzer. Let's see if he can do an at the buzzer pole lap.
Yeah, and the thing that was told from us from the admins as Nichols goes into the wall, that will be the end for him. Drivers have to put in advance ahead of time if they're going to be able to make the playoff races or not. That's why nothing has been changed as far as who is a playoff driver. Still no Jonathan Evans from what I'm seeing. Only 34 drivers in the field. And starting on that field, on the front row, a couple teammates. James Scioli will be the pole sitter and Jake Nichols will be second.
Yeah, indeed the case here, and we'll see how they fare. Some co-opetition as it usually works out here on these tracks with the restarts. We'll see how that comes into play. Our EOL list quite small here tonight. In fact, only 2 drivers. Greg Mitchell, who did have a great qualifying lap, all for naught, and then as you mentioned, Travis Beckner. So those drivers there, Hunter, they are praying for one and one thing only. They are praying for an insta caution. Actually, wait, end of line. I'm thinking of a drive-through. So yeah, they'll hope for basically not an insta caution. They don't want to be caught in that opening lap chaos that may or may not happen here.
Yeah, no one with a drive-through so far. And Travis Beckner, he has won in the past, back in Season 5. Same with our pole sitter, Scioli, back in Season 4. And then I'm looking at some other guys here, like Zach Nichols. He's starting in the back, and his only start was last season, and he finished 21st, so that's not good. That's not going to cut it. Jake Nichols, surprisingly, no top 10s, or actually 1 top 10 in this track, no top 5s. Beckner, like I mentioned, he's won here before. He does have 3 top 10s to his name, so he knows how to get around Bristol. And then Jeff Wright finished 4th in last year's event. John Forbes Jr. looking to have a better result than last season. His only start finished 33rd. And if you're in the playoffs, we're going to want to finish up close towards the top 10 and maybe avoid some calamity. It could happen at any given moment. Saw some big ones on Monday night, and would imagine that Tuesday night had their good bit of big ones as well. Don't think we'll see as many yellows, but looking for tire wear to be a factor and that late yellow to come out and spice things up.
Exactly that. We'll see what happens there as we get some love in our chat here. So, of course, enjoy that. If you like, share, comment, subscribe here on PTR TV. Looking on our mission to 1,800 subscribers to see a little help from there. If you're watching the Twitch, you're watching it on the VOD, the video on demand after the fact, but you can still consider subscribing to Area iRacing Twitch and get your $5 a month in custom emotes, and you can use your points to get merchandise there. We're working on that. Basically, the only way that I can get Twitch up is to put this down to 1080p. People like the 1440p, but we'll have that little debate, figure out what works best there. But either way, 2 minutes left here in the warm-up. Looks like everybody is going to get to run their laps. And just to reiterate, see that blue cone there? That is the entry of the pits. They're going to run all the way down there, all the way on the flat, just as they would in real life. That whole lane, 35 miles an hour. So under caution, Brad, not a big deal, but heaven forbid you have to make a green flag stop here. That's probably at minimum 3 laps you're losing.
Yeah, you want to avoid having green flag pit stops. Most likely all pit stops are going to be under yellow. We're not going to have a run long enough to do green flag pit stops. And fuel wear, fuel shouldn't be a concern. You can almost go the whole distance, but tire wear, again, that will be the deciding factor.
Yeah, different case than what we saw on Tuesday night, but again, this is a completely different animal than we've seen. The next gen and the truck both drive completely different to what this Xfinity car does, so we'll look to see what happens here. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and again, our starting lineup, as always, brought to you by Central Mobile Homes. Looking for a small or large home, a new shed, triple crown trailer? Look no further than Central Mobile Homes. Been proudly serving Florida customers for 29 years with a plethora of large and small home floor plans, shed designs, and triple crown trailers in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to Central Mobile Homes Inc. to get started today. But Brad, I just called you Brad there. Hunter, how about you start us off with our grid here tonight?
I would like to. If my cat would get out of the way from my desk, that'd be great. Your pole sitter mentioned James Scioli. On the front row with him is Jake Nichols, couple of teammates, and then starting in third in row 2, David Weishart in the 29. Alongside him, Blaze McKinney, the late entry to the top 5, 4th place there. 5th is going to be Sebastian Marin, the guy to watch out for. 6th place, Justin Opplinger. And in row 4, Greg Mitchell will start 7th. Jeff Wright will start 8th. And in row 5, John Forbes Jr. starting in 9th. And then shout out Bryce Senesac with a top 10 qualifying effort. He'll roll off 10th.
11th will be Mr. Garrett Grant, Matthew Batby in the 12th spot. 13th will find the likes of Travis Beckner, but he will not be staying there, heading back to the field with the EOL. John Furnass going to be in the 14th spot. Nico Servideo in 15th. Nate Stewart, the Antarctic and Kentucky native, in 16th. Reese Schaefer in 17th. Brad Slaughter in 18th. And then 19th and 20th, we find Mr. Braxton Deweese and then Alan Fox.
21st, we'll find Jeremy Miller in the 30. Alongside him in 22nd, Daniel Day in the 61. 23rd will be Michael Venable in the 77. Alongside him, the 24th place driver, Forrest Smith in the 15. The Alaskan Assassin, Jacinda Sogak, will roll off 25th, and 26th will be Ben Pierce. 27th, it's Ed Robertson. 28th, Casey Lakatos. And then 29th, it's Van Drugman, and Zach Nichols will roll off 30th.
And just rounding out our grid of 34, we have Zach Kerr in 31st. We have Francis Hamilton in 32nd. And then rounding out our final row of drivers, row 17, Brody Falliker, and then Joseph Berg going to be shotgun on the field. We're going to get rolling here for 2 pace laps around the Bristol Motor Speedway. Again, those 2 EOL drivers, Mitchell and Beckner, will find themselves in arrears. And our race details, as expected, 188 laps around here. It is kind of a weird number for Bristol. Trucks was 175, Cup was 200. Do the math right in the middle. That's 188. 4 sets of Goodyears. Again, fixed sets, full fuel load, which we estimate around probably 160 laps. Could be well dependent on cautions, but the Goodyears with these Xfinity cars will certainly take that rubber off a little bit more so than we've seen this week.
Yeah, looking for a clean start, although it could get a little bit hairy towards the back of the field, but I would imagine up front it would be clean with the 7 and the 73 being teammates and all. Interested in seeing how David Weishart's going to combat this. He is surrounded by playoff contenders all throughout the top 7 or so. Then also looking at Greg Mitchell in the 2, he's pulling off. I think he's got an EOL, or is there something else going on with him?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but either way, we will continue on as that pace car should take that left-hand turn, and there it goes to the safety of pit road in the Echo Park restart zone, and green flag in the air. Let's go playoff racing from Bristol. Looks like that outside lane is going to take the charge, as we expect with that extra banking there. Jake Nichols going to run the middle, and look at McKinney, look at Scioli ripping the bottom. I'll tell you, the bottom was the place to be on Tuesday in the trucks. Do you think that's going to be the same today in the Xfinity cars there, Hunter?
I would assume so. The top will probably get worn in at some point, and just an update, the 2 of Greg Mitchell did have an EOL. It's just odd timing. I know when we were doing the lineup, saw Beckner pull off to pit road to let the field go by then, rather than wait until half a lap before green, but that is what's happened to the 2. Meanwhile, Weishart, the lone non-playoff driver, inside the top 5, looking a little further back here around 14th. Servideo rolling that 13th spot. 14th is Nate Stewart.
Yeah, I saw him kiss the fence there. That Bass Pro Shops Black Rifle Coffee. Just tried my first Black Rifle Coffee K-Cup. Got to say some good things about it. But Nate Stewart on his charge to the front. He is going to be working on Jeremy Miller in that number 30 car. But actually, let's take that back, because Reese Schaefer is going to go ring around the fence on the outside. Get that position. Again, the progressive banking at Bristol, about the iRacing version. 24 on the bottom, 27 in the middle, 30 on the top. So eventually that momentum starts to build, and that's where that lane will be. Interesting to see Nate kind of doing the Harvick line on the yellow.
Yeah, from what I can estimate just off the first handful of laps, he might be saving the tire. He must think that it's going to be a long run to start this one out, and that wants to preserve the tire just in case we get on some sort of a longer run, about maybe 50, 60 laps or so. But we're seeing some guys making their way through the field, like Jeff Wright in the 48, still trying to work his way around Matthew Bappy in the 71. He'll do just that. And then up front, mentioned Weishart had the starting spot in 3rd. He's down to 6th now. Marin passes him, might have scraped the wall coming out of 4. And there we see those guys running on the outside lane. Furness in the 28 back there, as well as the 48 of Jeff Wright. And up front, inside the top 5, they're all running the bottom.
Yes, they are, and as you see with the yellow denotions, and if you watch Tuesday night, you know I struggle with the denotions, but they are all accurate. Did double check myself, so all those yellow highlights indicate our drivers. And as we see somebody, that's Nico Servideo. I just complimented Black Rifle Coffee, and he's going to go and dent the K-Cup on me. He was into the fence multiple times. You can see the scuffs to that number 18, and just adding another one for good measure there, as he's still in the 14th spot, but struggling with that car.
Yeah, he got into the wall, and then the corner before, coming out of 4, the 5 of Garrett Grant had a moment sideways coming off corner exit, but they keep everything straight for now. There's a good gaggle of cars built up between Reese Schaefer and 16th place. Back there, we'll find 05 and Nate Stewart again, just guys passing them on the outside lane. Seems like that bottom's just committed to preserving tire wear for now. The 8 of Brad Slar, 27 of Travis Beckner. Not sure if that's the lane he wants to be in if you're a playoff
somebody
guy,
in the fence. That's Lakatis in the 50. He just pounded the safer barrier.
There we see Beckner go up to the outside. He's done riding in line behind the 05 and the 8. He's got places to go, people to see, and things to do. Mentioned he won Tuesday night here on PTR TV, and he's looking to do the same tonight. And interesting fact, we have not had a repeat winner in the Pro Series. So Beckner looking to become the first two-time Pro Series Xfinity car winner. And McKinney had a moment going through 3 and 4. He'll hold on to third for now, and the 7 of Sky will hold on to second.
And McKinney holding on to third. It might be exactly for one moment, because you could see Sebastian Mayer, and you could see here in the Florida Estate Builders Pro Series the denotion of our drivers. It's on the ticker yellow, but you could see the nameplate on the windshield. That is going to be bright green, so that will help denote that. And there goes Marin closing on in. And who is that? That is Furness in the Haviland car, looking to the inside of Jeff Wright. And there goes Opplinger. And there goes Matthew Batby. Batby, someone who could very easily be a playoff spoiler with how he's been running in recent weeks.
Yeah, I look at this 28 and just what he did last season. It was I think 2 or 3 seasons since he last won his race before, heading into Bristol in season 6, and then winning on the last lap. Probably gave him some confidence and good momentum boost, saying that, I can still run up front, I can still contend for wins, and seems like he's in his sweet spot right now. He's up a good bit of position since the start of this one. He's still trying to find his way around Justin Opplinger, but amongst those not going for a championship and just going after wins, he is the highest running of those for now. Still committed to that bottom. Matthew Batt being the 71, just riding the coattails of the 48 and the 55 on the outside.
Well, I would retort that, and I would say personally that Furness is no longer committed to the bottom. He's stuck on the bottom right now, and akin to being at Talladega outside of the draft. He just doesn't have a way to go. He's looking to slot back up, which is something that Bristol, you could argue this is a podcast topic, perhaps on the High Banks podcast, that this track is too high lane dominant. That's why we have the virtual, authentic resident PJ1. We don't have that in the sim, so with that lesser banking down there, very easy to go choo-choo to the back of the line here, and you can just see not really any openings for Furness to get back in line, and he's just losing position after position.
Yeah, I'm noticing the front 3, they're committed to running the bottom, or actually front 4, I should say. The 48 of Jeff Wright's where it starts to get a little confusing. As soon as I say that, Marin's had enough of the 87. He wants to go around him, take that podium pain position away. He'll do just that. But a good bit of guys in the back starting to work that outside lane. Still a few committed to the bottom, where, as you say, stuck on that bottom like John Furness.
Yeah, I think maybe if you're running it by yourself, as you see the leaders doing it, and you can fully arc it out, get that proper line, bottom exit and then exit high, I think it's the best way. But definitely running side by side, it is a detriment. Speaking of drivers at the detriment of it, Nate Stewart, he's back to 23rd, and now he's finally went to the top. But with the experience Nate Stewart has, you have to wonder, there must be a method to the madness. And again, interestingly enough, we're 26 laps in, and we still are under green flag. Knock on my IKEA desk here, my composite board desk. This race has a pretty clean flair to it, at least at present. Yeah,
for now, I still think at some point we're going to have a yellow.
I'm not stretching that far. Don't worry. I ain't stretching that far.
Yeah, we have never had a caution-free race at Bristol in any of the series whatsoever, so this would be a first, but wouldn't be surprised with the talent in this field, although looking at the 71 of Matthew Bappy, again, pretty dicey on corner exit, getting around Opplinger, playoff driver. That is for 6th, actually, and David Weishart trying to hold on to 8th, maybe go after Opplinger for 7th.
Yep, and it's so dynamic, Hunter. As soon as we say, yep, everyone's running the fence, what do? Now they're back to the bottom. Now it's kind of a split game. And remember the dynamic track system that iRacing has implemented. So as a groove does get hotter, it loses grip. Once it gets more rubber, it gets slick. So that does make drivers want to search around. Sometimes even using the lesser banking on the bottom will be advantageous. Other times you want to rock the banking. We didn't talk about the weather today, just for the sake of information. Track's a little bit hotter than it was on Tuesday. We do have up to an 80-degree track temp. Perhaps that's because of some of the usage. Concrete tends to not be as heat sensitive as asphalt, but either way, if they're running the groove lap after lap, they may be searching around.
Yeah, a lot of guys still just, well, actually, they've migrated to the bottom. Well, actually, split bag. Well, some guys scraping the wall. About the front 6 or so committed to the bottom. David Weishart on back, running the outside, and Opplinger kind of doing a little bit of both.
Marin did get up to P2, interestingly enough, getting by Jeff Wright and James Scioli. Scioli is dropping back. Have a quick replay of the pass of Marin getting by Scioli, and Scioli on the bottom of the racetrack and just using that outside lane, left it open. There goes the momentum, there goes the pass. That is a pretty straightforward pass without really much contesting from Scioli, who's now back to 4th, and he's committed to the bottom, and he might need to change things up, or he might go back further.
Oh, Weishart got hit from Blaze McKinney. He's spinning.
Oh, that is a very precarious spot to be in, and it was only a matter of time.
No.
Alan Fox.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the 29 came down, but it looked like the 87 got into the left rear quarter panel in the middle of 3 and 4.
Oh yeah, that was a little love tap. And you can see everyone. Look at Anna Sogak here. Might have to go on board with him very quickly on the Hendry County replay and see his perspective, because he had to yaw that thing. Watch him come through 3 and 4, thinking nothing of it. And woo-hoo-hoo.
Oh, what a wreck avoidance from that. But yeah, unfortunate for Alan Fox to be a part of that. And getting confirmation, +2 to the 87 of Blaze McKinney. Now looking through at the wreck score, he had none to his name, but the +2 means that he'll have an EOL for next week at Nashville, and that is cause for concern. There's not too many tabs on area races at Nashville because we've only gone there in the first 3 seasons, so we haven't been there since season 3. Not much to go off of for a lot of the playoff guys, so Blaze McKinney gonna have to start from the back, at least for now, in the early goings of Bristol. He'll have to start in the back next week at Nashville as pit stops are underway.
Yep, and as we said, that single pit configuration here at Bristol, so everyone is running right on the apron. Anybody about 22nd on back qualifying, they will be pitted on the back straight away. But we'll see if any tire strats or any situations happen there. You have 4 sets, should be pretty cut and dry to take 4 tires, unless you think that the pit strategy is more important and the track position's more important. See somebody getting out of the pits first. That's Casey Lakatis. He always does that, so I've kind of learned to become immune to that. But there comes everybody through, and looks like 4 tires as expected.
Jeff Wright looking at the biggest winner out of those pit stops, I'd say. Well, assuming Casey's going to pit, he'll be up to 3rd for this restart. And kind of a quiet season for the 48. He won last week at Talladega, so will be interesting seeing how he takes on this restart. Lakatis going to get that lap led and then presumably go down pit road.
I remember he was running a really good race at Talladega, I will say. What was it? Was it Talladega? I don't know. There was one race we talked to him on the podium. I can't remember when it was, but he did a great job, as well as his teammate Daniel Dagan. He just missed the playoffs last week, but there goes Casey in on 1 to go, which is a very questionable decision because it's going to probably put him like 3 laps down. So interesting call by the crew chief on that one, but more so, let's get ready for the restart into the Echo Park restart zone. Nichols choosing the high lane, Marin down low on the loud pedal, and let's get going.
It's going to be a common theme all night in the restart zone and the advantage the leader has amongst the rest of the field. I mean, it's almost a half-second gap between Jake Nichols and now second place Jeff Wright. Mentioned he was the biggest winner off pit road. He's in the runner-up spot now, passing the 24 Sebastian Marin.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts, but Jeff Wright on a hot streak, and he won Talladega last week, if memory serves. So on a hot streak here, and I think if I remember right, I'm pushing myself remembering back a week and a half now, but I think he said he actually had some confidence here too, and that is showing. But there goes Opplinger hitting that outside safer barrier, and Blaze McKinney trying to recover and shake it off after being a part of that incident. He is in 8th. John Forbes in 9th, and Beckner on his comeback charge. He is in 10th down to the inside.
Looking to get around the 17 of John Forbes Jr. I'll tell you what, I'm looking through as guys are scraping the wall. The furthest a driver has come from the field to win was 11th, and that was done by both Scioli and John Furness. That was 11th. Beckner, I'm not sure officially where he started, but it was probably deep in the 30s, I'd have to say, and that would be a new record for winner.
We have the technology. 13th.
13th, interesting. Well, it would still be the furthest back the winner has come from the field at Bristol. That happened on Monday when Kwame Scott started. Ooh, Beckner's loose. Yellow's actually out. Hold that thought. It's Braxton Luis in the 13th. That's following the backstretch.
Let's sort things out here on a Hendry County replay. Down to the inside. Joseph Berg into the fence off of 4. Now we come through. And was there help is the million-dollar question. We will have the technology to answer said question. He got loose, and that little bit of a checkup became, in my opinion, unreactable for Zach Nichols. Whether admin looks at it that way or not is their discretion, but it's not my job. That's just what I saw, but we'll see how admin takes it. Not a lot of reaction time. Someone gets off the throttle here. Not a lot of time to recover from it going 15-second laps there, Hunter.
Yeah, that's an interesting call for the admins. Still waiting on that decision, but taking their time as always, as it does pursue to a playoff driver and Zach Nichols involved. And survey says... Yeah,
we're both watching it. We see typing. Dun-dun-dun-dun. No pit stops to be had this time by. Somebody getting a free pass. That will be Mr. Weishart. You can see the crumpled up nose. Shouldn't be of too much hindrance. They're calling that just a racing incident. So, which I would agree with that. So,
I would agree with that too. Brings out our second
even if
yellow.
I didn't agree with it, I would say that I did anyways. But either way. Actually, that's not true. We all know that. But typically, this is the time we start helping out our sponsors here. Now, of course, Hendry County is who I like to talk to at this juncture. They're, of course, our interview. They're, of course, our replay sponsor, Travis Bechter, the flag band. They are on summer break. So when they stop being on summer break in mid-September, make sure you check it out. You can go to HendryRacing.com, and their tickets are dirt cheap, $20 for adults, kids age 5 and under get in free, family pack of 4 for $25. You can check out that southernmost track in Clewiston, but they are on their summer break due to the Florida heat. They'll be back in mid-September. Check it out, HendryRacing.com.
Yeah, looking through September 20th, they're back with open wheel modifieds, cruiser late models, and a $1,000 to win street stock race. So that'll be fun for those. Bring the family out. Temperatures will be cooler, and it'll be a good way to get your weekend going. And looking to see how this restart gets going with Nichols, that being Jake, on the outside of Jeff Wright. Interesting in how Wright's going to take this restart on the bottom.
Very hard to time it, and he did not time it at all there. Big jump to Nichols to the outside. The battle will go for second. They're getting up to speed. He might be able to clear Batby on the outside. He will sort of clear. Batby kissed the concrete there. Will Wright be able to slide to the top? He will try to, and Batby really did him a solid there.
Yeah, that was a close call there. Bappy on that outside, getting the momentum off the corner exit. Almost disastrous for the 48. But they live to survive another lap. And now John Furness looking to get around Sebastian Marin on that outside lane for 4th. And here comes the 27 of Travis Beckner looking for 5th.
He is trying to sweep the week here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, do the pseudo last to first challenge, and looking pretty sporty, if I do say so myself. Barron getting stuck with that lane choice that he was given down to the inside, but Beckner's going to voluntarily go to the inside. Big wreck on the back. Furness had some kind of hardware failure. And
Zach Kerr spinning.
and Blaze McKinney dead sideways. Yeah, Zach Kerr, but this all stemmed. I caught it out of the corner of my eye. What appeared, in my opinion, to be a hardware failure from John Furness. Let's try to solidify that here. Now watch this 28 here. Yeah, that just right hand hooked. Now right front tire blowouts aren't so much a thing here on iRacing. So to see something like that with that car just completely beeline hooks the fence, I would have to imagine a USB failure, screen freeze, something of that nature.
It's pretty crazy for that to happen. Blaze McKinney involved, John Forbes Jr., and then in the back, I'm assuming they were checking up. It was Zach Kern, the 12 that spun, tapped the inside wall. I'm not sure how bad his damage is. The front nose is a little bit crinkled up, but 3 playoff drivers involved in that. Not good for anyone else, but we mentioned about Nate Stewart, how he fell back early on in the going. He's up to 13th now after pit stops and after the 3 yellows that we've had so far.
Yep, and pit stops are kind of not a split bag per se, but a few drivers coming in. There's Forbes, there's Servideo, McKinney, Weishart, drivers maybe trying to get off strategy at this point. And as expected, the admin are declaring the 28 the cause there, which is pretty obvious, and he will dictate that it was indeed a computer failure. Computer froze, which when iRacing loses inputs to the driver because there's a technical issue, the car will just go linear straight into whatever direction it was going in, and unfortunately that was right into that safer barrier.
Yeah, that +2 is going to spell EOL for John Furness next week at Nashville.
At the Nashville Super Speedway, and a concrete round 1. And I will say we covered a next-gen race at Nashville on Sunday, and the drivers had a myriad of troubles with it between the new update, learning the track. So we'll see if that happens to you on Monday there, Hunter, but we'll see how they fare Tuesday and Thursday next week, Nashville Super Speedway, and then we'll get solidified up and ready for the next round of the playoffs, which will be largely intermediate tracks, which should be interesting. Our next round of the playoffs, round of 8, will be Vegas and Auto Club, and then rounding out our season end of July at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Should be an interesting run, but you just have to get through this round first. Wright and Nichols, can Wright get a better restart? I'm going to probably guess no, but we'll see if it's indeed the case here. If the Jumbotron gets out of the way, let's go, green flag, and it's still struggling with that second place restart.
Tell you what, third place is Love, actually fourth, I should say, because it's the second car on the outside lane. Now second in the race, it's Travis Beckner in the 27, and he could take it to the 73 of Jake Nichols. He's won here before, and again, looking to become the first 2-time winner at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Pro Series, and Jake Nichols still just trying to get a top 5 finish at this track.
And just watch here on the battle tracker, you'll see the live number go up, and it's still going up there, a skosh 6/100ths of a second slower, and that's just how Bristol works. Lap times are so close here. Jeff Wright getting a little bit closer, now using a different lane. Look at him just get that momentum on entry. He carries it through the center, and he closes it on exit, and barely leaving a lane is Beckner there. Again, the squeeze game at play, and Wright will go to the outside off the wiggle from Beckner.
Beckner big time loose on the bottom. He'll settle into third and settling nicely inside the top 10. A couple of non-playoff drivers, that being Jeremy Miller in the 30, Justin Sogak in the 88 rolling through, and right behind him, mentioned it, Nate Stewart. Slow spin in the back, the 15. Looks like that's the 2. Greg Mitchell involved as well. Forrest Smith is the 15 car that spun out, and our 4th yellow of the night comes out on lap 64. Take a look at a replay from Hendry County Motorsports Park to see how this unfolded.
Yeah, let's see the 15. He got loose on his own and then just T-bone stake there at Mitchell, center of the corner. Luckily, they got low enough, quick enough to where it didn't really cause any more collateral damage.
And Zach Nichols in the 44, able to drive around that unscathed. He was running around 16th at the time of the yellow, and admins redeemed that on Forrest Smith, so he'll have 2 wrecking points. So I believe that'll also be an EOL for him. Could be mistaken, and it looks like it will. So already we're seeing a good bit of drivers with end of line penalties heading into next week at Nashville. We're not even halfway through this race, but John Forbes Jr. does get the free pass. I think that puts him back on the lead lap.
It certainly does. That will put 30 on the lead lap, and then Zach Kerr 2 laps down. Then we have Blaze McKinney, Furness, and Van Drugmond are the only 2 retirees from the event. Talked about podcast very quickly earlier, and again, the High Banks podcast, always something you can use if you're looking to get some listening time in at work or on your commute. Nick and Alex talking about NASCAR more. 228 has Jacob Bell, but they've done a myriad more. That is on Spotify. And I have to ask you, Hunter, I've been doing this ad read since the start of this season. Who is Nick and who is Alex?
That is a very good question. They kind of sound the same.
I mean, I would just like to know, are they in this race? I'm assuming they're pals.
No, they're not in this race.
Jacob will give us information in about 5 seconds, I'm sure. I don't know who Nick is. I don't know who Alex is, but what I do know is they're cool guys, and you should listen to them talk about NASCAR. That is on Spotify, the High Banks podcast. And while we're at it, Elite Entertainment, their high-quality band production from Boiling Spring, South Carolina. They have their karaoke, singo, and more. If you're looking for any band production or anything to spice up your event, you can go to the link tree in the description, Elite Entertainment.
Oh, whoa, Bappy just rear-ended the 27 of Beckner, and Beckner's got rear-end damage.
Yeah.
Not sure what that was all about, if the 71 just got on the gas a little bit too soon, but don't see much damage to his front, but you can see on the rear end of Beckner there's a good bit of damage. We'll have to see if the admins rule anything about that. They might look at that after the race is over, but for now, we're back green. Jake Nichols on the outside, Jeff Fry on the inside not going, but the second car on that outside lane, James Skyler, he could roll into second.
Now, James Scioli, he started second. Now he's back to second, but it hasn't been as easy as I describe it to be there. But look at that number 30, Jeremy Miller, highest he's been on the day. Jeff Wright to the inside. Beckner, obviously the damage is in the back. The back doesn't slow you down here at a short track, even though we are running the high speeds. Marin, who's been kind of stuck all day, 2nd through 6th, just can't get that restart line that he desires. But he's going to rock that outside, try to get around the 27. And again, Nate Stewart, he's cracked the top 10, and he's right at the back of this shot.
Yeah, still holding strong in 10th, and the admins gave 1 incident point to the 71 for that bump into Beckner under yellow. Again, a good bit of damage to the rear end of Beckner's car. He's still trying to find his way on the outside lane, as is Anna Sogak in the 88. They're still running inside the top 10 for now. Beckner trying to hold on to that 5th spot, although it's not going to be for much longer. Nowhere to go on that outside lane.
Man, look at him just struggling there. There goes Marin. Marin, again, they're hitting the fence. We keep seeing smoke pop up there. Drivers struggling to keep that car down on the track, and then, oh, no! Save it, though. Oh, Nate Stewart. Cataclysmic hit there in 1 and 2.
Oh, Travis Beckner is not going to be happy about that at all. Poor Nate Stewart had nothing to do with that. Nothing intentional here as we'll look on the Hendry County Motorsports Park replay. Just Bappy bouncing off the wall and then bounces off the inside wall right across the nose of the 27. Nowhere to go for Nate Stewart. Brad Slaughter caught up in that as well. Unfortunate. Night gone bad to worse for Travis Beckner and really bad for Nate Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of impact from Nate Stewart. This will take me back to a truck race. Haley Deegan, I mean, we bring that name up and, just rock with me. She had an incident at Bristol that was very similar to that. He just got absolutely beelined from a vulnerable position there. Took a hard lick in turn 1. But this is the time of year that's horrible. Again, no backup trucks, no backup cars even, and you can see something severely missing from the right front of Nate Stewart. So he may be a win or in requiree for Nashville.
No, he's going to have to be a winner, and he entered 9th in the standings, and while he won't be dead last, Jonathan Evans will be dead last. The only thing that's good for him is that there's a number of guys with problems. I mentioned Blaze McKinney, he's still multiple laps down. John Forbes Jr., although he's back on the lead lap, he's got damage. Back Kurt caught up in a wreck. Beckner taken out in this one as well. Still a good bit of guys. I think about half the playoff drivers in this field have occurred some sort of damage so far. And again, we're not even halfway done. And Nate Stewart's called in the night. He's done.
Yeah, but as expected, I mean, he would have at least the tow to the pits would take him about probably 45 seconds. But I would say minimum that thing has 45 minutes of repair. And actually, iRacing has done updates to the damage system. They will straight out just say, nope, we're done. Sometimes they won't even give you a time. They just straight up say, yeah, let's pack it up. Luckily, we're not traveling too far. We're staying in the same state. Just going from the northeast corner of Tennessee. I don't know why I got myself into a geographic mess to, I believe, sort of in the center of the state for Nashville, question mark. Someone will correct me. So luckily not having to travel too far, but either way, let's get back to 1 to green, get stacked up, doubled up for the restart. It will be Jake Nichols on the bottom of the racetrack, and you have to think that may be a little team co-opetition going on there.
Yeah, at this point, might as well. At the end of the day, there's team championship points on the line. 609, gonna want to get every opportunity of that, maximize every point necessary, and dominating so far with the 73 and the 7. Nichols going to restart on the inside and jump up. Well, actually, I shouldn't say jump up. He'll still be leading, but James Skiley rolling in the second. Here comes Jeff Wright in third, trying to get around Jeremy Miller, who's kept a clean car so far.
Yeah, using that battling for that third position here. Jeff Wright to the outside, and Miller rocking to the inside. Just behind that, you have Opplinger, who's made a good charge through the field here today. And that battle will fizzle out. We got Marin stuck to the inside, or voluntarily to the inside. Can't really tell on the restarts. It is a little ambiguous here, but Casey Lakatos, remember, he had that pit stop that he made after that caution where he stayed out, went a couple laps down, has since got his laps back, and he's up to the 13th position right now. So interesting things here, and something that we should talk about because this race almost is halfway over. Let's bring up the stints on our ticker. A lot of different strategies, 42 laps, 27, 15. Not so much worried about the fuel as we talked about, but that tire wear, we may have to watch those guys charge.
Yeah, those guys with fresher tires that are right around where Garrett Grant is. I mean, 16 laps on his sets of tires.
Speaking of Garrett Grant, commentator's curse of champions right there.
Oh, that's on me, Garrett. I was going to say, he had 16 laps on his tires. Hello, Travis Beckner. Hello, Greg Mitchell in the 2. The yellow's back out on lap 84. Take a look at what happened before I jinxed the 5 of Garrett Grant. And
Casey,
wow.
Did I not just talk about Casey Lakatos coming through the field as well?
Wow. Talking about double whammy. We jinxed both guys that were at the scene of the crime.
Wiggle from Lakatos there, and then there's the stack up. 77 of Venable got more of that than we thought originally. There goes Beckner squeezing by on the outside, and same for Mitchell. So I will also take some responsibility. I said around lap 30 this thing was having some green flag flare. You know, they always say knock on wood. However, I'm on a particle board desk, so I guess that didn't do enough justice. So, and has since changed the flow of the race, so I will take some of the blame.
Indeed, as we are inching closer and closer to halfway, the yellows keep coming out and they keep delaying that. But again, a lot of guys starting to assume close to half the field has occurred some sort of damage at some point in this race. It is a half-mile track. Wrecks are bound to happen, and you're bound to make contact with either a car or the wall just from how tight everything is and how wide these guys get on corner exit. Not to mention, some guys have actually been hitting the wall on the middle of the straightaway because safer barrier goes all the way around the racetrack. So not sure if that's throwing some guys off or not, but that's what created one of the yellows with Matthew Bappy and Travis Beckner. But again, it's still the same 609 leading with Jake Nichols in first, James Skiley second, and then that 30 of Jeremy Miller is another 609 car. So they're holding the first 3 positions right now. And you go back to Jeff Wright, who's having to navigate through that 609 mess.
Yeah, exactly that. And there's Zach Nichols. Just quickly about the safer barrier point. This is the first probably competitive race these guys have done at Bristol since iRacing did their refresh on this about a build ago. This track never had straightaway safer barriers, so drivers have driven this place for over a decade the same way. This is the first time they've really competitively been here where they do have 3 feet less space on the straightaway, so very, very plausible that they're just kind of having to train their brain to having that tighter exit there. But either way, let's get sorted here. 1 to go, and again, Nichols to the inside, Scioli to the outside. We've seen how inside restarts from second have been difficult, so I think definitely they're helping each other out there as teammates while there's still plenty of time in this race. I'm sure that won't happen later on if the cards do fall, but either way, green flag in the air. Nichols will clear with relative ease, and Scioli has the outside and should be able to maintain second.
For the time being, he will, and third is up for grabs. Jeff Wright holding strong on that outside line. Miller holding tough on that bottom, but the momentum is carrying just a bit too much, and looks like Wright will settle in line. Opplinger will take the Aller approach, and a bit quiet from Sebastian Marin this late or this far in the race.
Yeah, Marin, again, he's just been stuck mid top 10, 4th to 7th, having issues. And did I see a little bit of more stack up there? I think that was David Weishart. Contact with Lakatis. Look at Lakatis' back bumper, and I don't know if that was from the prior incident. I think that was from what Weishart just perhaps did, but either way, this is all mid-teen. Some guys maybe we haven't focused on here all evening, and Travis Beckner trying to do a comeback charge and is dented and bruised number 27. Brad Slaughter, he is 22nd. I haven't spoken to him here today. Going a little bit further up, you see Bryce Senesac in the 09. Anna Sogak, again, another driver who nearly won himself in last week at Talladega. Missed the playoffs, but trying to make the most of it. He's rocking there in the 9th spot behind Daniel Day, who I still say last week's heartbreak story.
Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom for Beckner yet, but man, Daniel Day, if he was just 1 spot better, it would have been a clinching moment, would have won at Talladega, would have been in the playoffs. And would have had to navigate through the mess so far. He's going to clear himself in front of the 88 of Anna Sogak. They're rolling through the turn, and again, they're inside the top 10. So solid 8th place effort so far from the 61 of Daniel Day.
A little bit further back, I don't think we've talked about Brody Falliker here today. That's a battle for 9th spot. You can see Anna Sogak, Falliker, and then Alan Fox. He was involved in something, but that seems to be the common trend at this point. He's a little bit further back there, but there goes Anna Sogak to the outside of the racetrack and keeping that momentum up and at it. Going back up front to the lead, Jake Nichols. He is pulling away from Scioli, and if you watched the truck race the other day, you know that he led over 80 laps, and that race just fizzled apart about halfway. Currently here, he has led a myriad of 95 laps, so all but 2 here on the day. Will he get that what's that word? That comeback that he deserved from the other day, or is he
retaliation?
Retaliation, reciprocation, something. Getting what he deserved, or will the same events occur in some different fashion?
I think the younger generation is saying getting their lick back. Maybe that's what he's looking to get.
Getting some insight here from Jacob Bell on the back end. He's feeding us a little information. Beckner is clutching the throttle. Is clutching the car here, perhaps on a massive fuel mileage saving tour. But as soon as we cover it, he's not doing it. But he was.
Because the secret's been exposed. Maybe that's why. But I don't know, very conflicting on that, because with there's the 09 and Senesac almost lost it all 4. Again, the yellow could come out at any moment, especially given how chaotic things have been. And of course, the longer we go on this run, the more and more faded those tires are going to get. So these guys are going to be slipping and sliding a bit more. And no yellow for that. Well, spoke too soon. Yellow's out, so the fuel-saving method for Beckner is not going to hold up because of the spin.
Let's see what happened to Ed Robertson in the 64. That blue tip Supra there, or Supra rather, just loose on his own. Against the inside wall, kept it going. No cars involved, but enough where Barney said, put it out.
Yeah, good effort from Beckner. I mean, you have to try something different, but with how tight this track is, and the longer they ran, the more and more faded those tires were going to be. So
now keep an eye on that ticker. I would imagine, I don't know if the pits were open. They might, I think they may be open this time by. And pretty obvious that that incident did get deemed to, or ticked to Robertson's tally, but everyone's coming down. Maybe Anna Sogak. Yep, just as I suspected. He has 20 lap tires. He says, nope, this is my time to shine. He's going to go up front. He's going to stay out. He's going to have Falliker. He's going to have Braxton DeWeese. I think they're all on the lead lap. And that's Greg Mitchell getting one of his 3 laps back.
interesting to look at some of these guys. I mean, again, not going after anything but wins if you're just Anna Sogak in the 88. So gotta try something different. Brody Falliker, Braxton DeWeese, Ben Pearson, and Nico Servideo. So if the top 5 do stay out like they're doing right now, or
scoring updating here.
It's going to be interesting to restart if these top 5 do commit to staying out.
Yeah, it will. Now let me bring up back the ticker because I only really paid attention to Anna Sogak's tire wear, and actually a tick fresher tires, assuming that they took tires, which we don't have the way to fully know that, but we'd assume so. So yeah, about 20 laps, which I think is right around that cusp where they will lose some spots, but I'd say 20 laps as well, Hunter, isn't. It's new enough to be slower. Well, new tires are new enough to be faster, but as hard as it is to pass here, are they new enough to be able to get by on a track that's hard to pass? That I am not so sure of.
Yeah, that'll be the interesting part. We'll have to look in how this restart goes, because it's going to be a good indicator if we do get a late yellow, if you do stay out, how long those tires are going to hold up in the first handful of laps.
Yeah, exactly that here, as we are now 82 laps to go, which sounds like a lot, but here at Bristol, that's only about 20 minutes of racing if this thing was to run clean. So the race is in its waning stages. Got to get yourself sorted, got yourself where you want to be. Green flag in the air. Good jump from Anna Sogak to the top. Falliker and Ben Pierce, and then here comes right through the middle of the sandwich. Jake Nichols wants the track position. He wants it now, and I think he got into the 65, cleared himself a little early. Ben Pierce really struggling to try to get out of the way or just keep himself under control.
Yeah, he kind of got booted into the wall by Jeremy Miller, but again, new tires will do that to old tires. And, they're wrecking. And it's the 24 of Marin. Whiteside into the wall. The caution's going to come out as Skyoli's going to hang on to it, but we got a little hectic there.
Yeah, let's see. They're coming off the corner here. Jeff Wright. Oh, yep, right into Marin. Oh, no pun. Right into Marin. And then Ben Pierce having issues there. Weishart, we saw. Weishart's day is just gone from bad to worse. The qualifying run was good from him, but here goes Senesac, Joseph Berg all the way down to the flat. We'll just get one more perspective of it. And that's just a big junk there at Bristol.
But a good old demolition derby on a Thursday night to get this one kicked off. I think we're at 9, maybe double-digit yellows in this race. I could be mistaken, but it feels that way. So at least for the first lap or two, we're right there. We're at 8. First lap or two, tires held up well for the front 4 or so. 3 of them inside the top 4.
Now they're deeming that as net code from our perspective. I mean, we kind of had a far back perspective, so I'm sure they looked at it a little bit closer, and it must have been some kind of internet net code. The internet model just, predicting things a little bit off from how they seemed to actually happen, which does happen here from time to time. But as another shout out to some of our league sponsors, of course, rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces in South Florida made locally. The Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, and South Beach Heat. rickshotsauce.com is sponsoring the $100 Rookie of the Year Challenge on Monday night, so you could stay tuned on the IDK Player YouTube channel for that battle. But again, rickshotsauce.com. They are deeming as well 65 and the 61 It was also netcode that instigated their incidents here, so the old internet gods not playing too kindly here on lap 108.
Yeah, that happened a good bit on Monday as well. Quite a few yellows in that race were deemed netcode, so not sure if that's just the sim or if that's internet connection on both sides, but nonetheless, a lot of netcode happening at Bristol from Monday night. Not sure if that happened a lot Tuesday night, but it seems like it's happening a good bit tonight.
Yeah, nothing too much that I recall, but, we're only looking at things from the outside perspective as opposed to right up from the driver's seat, so may miss it, but either way, unfortunate that is the case. You don't want to see these races dictated by things out of the driver's control, but, it is what it is in the game of sim racing. But back in the restart zone, Anna Sogak, he'll get the jump, but now Jake Nichols, fastest car on the day, has that fresh tires and wastes absolutely no time getting that lead back.
And now Jeff Wright's going to have a lot of traffic to deal with. Those guys with older tires. He's going to go around the 1 of Falker. He's got the 13 of DeWeese to work his way through.
Whoa!
How about the 44 of Zach Nichols powering through on the top?
And there goes the 13 slightly into the fence. Nichols getting there. Nichols going to go meet in the sandwich there. That's going to bog the 48 down hardcore. And look at 2 for 1. Bob's your uncle. Zach Nichols up to the 3rd spot.
And to think he almost missed making this field tonight because he wasn't in the sim until late in qualifying. So solid 3rd place effort so far from the 44. Looking to capitalize that with a potential round clinching win into the round of 8. But 3rd will do for now is DeWeese holding on to 4th, trying to keep the 55 of Opplinger at bay.
Yeah, Opplinger trying to get by DeWeese, and DeWeese will miss the yellow line, whether intentionally or not. The 55 will fill in the space in that Mobile 1 Camaro. He'll go down to the inside. He should be able to clear just fine, and he'll do just that. You can see Marin, doesn't matter what the strategy is, doesn't matter what the situation is. He's just been about a 6th place car here today. That's where he is running. But here comes Zach Nichols, gets 2nd from Anna Sogak. It's been Jake up front for the majority of the race. Zach, no relation. Let's see if he is the better of the Nichols here tonight.
Yeah, and he needs a solid performance. Looking through, I actually don't see where are his stats. Kind of stats up here. He finished 21st last season, so miles ahead compared to where he was a season ago, but he's looking to go 1 spot better, and all that's in front of him is just the 73 of Jake Nichols for the time being until presumably we go long on this run. We'll get some lap traffic in to mix things up. In the meanwhile, the 7 of Scioli working his way around the 8 of Brad Slaughterboard. Brad was caught up in a wreck or two tonight. He's still holding strong inside the top 15.
Yes, he is, and someone who's also been in some carnage or had to evade some issues. And that is John Forbes, a playoff driver. He is holding on to the back of the top 10 as Joseph Berg is having some connectivity issues, which is making some life difficult for Jeremy Miller there in the 30. Big wall contact there. Forrest Smith, he's been in some issues as well. And all these drivers struggling with that 93 of Berg having issues in front of them.
Yeah, he is all up in that wall. Some of these guys, like you mentioned, they've been running close to the wall, and it's coming up with sparks and smoke. That was an issue on Monday night to where someone thought that a certain driver or two was wall riding because they were running the outside line so good, and that kept coming up each time. So, sure, some guys are clipping the wall, but some are just riding as close as they can to that wall in the middle of the corners.
Yes, definitely. I think that kind of goes in the netcode bucket as well, which again threw me off once or twice. A little bit of contact. That's Daniel Day making some contact, getting by Braxton DeWeese, and here comes Sebastian Marin, highest he's been all day, but he is getting by those older tires, getting by Anna Sogak there, moving him P4. He has about 1 second until he will get to Opplinger, but that lead was 3/10 for a brief period of time. It is inching down into the mid-2s. Lap time separated by mere hundredths. In fact, 2 100ths faster last time for Zach, and it looks as though Jake might be playing a little mirror drive game.
I'm going to have to with the 44 closing in that much. He knows that he can't get around him on the inside, so he'll have to go outside and above. So the 73 is just minding his P's and Q's right now as they're working on the lap car, and that being Weishart had a moment coming out of 4 or No, he had a moment off 4. I thought he was pulling to the side, but 29 struggling at the moment, and the leaders are slowly creeping up on him.
Yes, indeed the case. Expect him to get out of the way. He's prior champion. He will be as respectable as possible, as we would expect him to do so. But you can see the gaps that have formed at the Bristol Motor Speedway, kind of going from our top-down cam. You can just see second to third, essentially a quarter of a corner there, or essentially a whole straightaway. It's 800 feet straightaways here, not very long, and the spacing, and you can see how much space in between all these drivers, racing respectfully, racing hard, as there's soon to be 50 laps to go, but keep chugging along and seeing if any more playoff drivers will have any issues today. It has been rough for them.
Yeah, I think the only ones that have yet to be involved in some sort of incident might be the Jake Nichols. I'm not sure if Zach Nichols was caught up in anything. Maybe Opplinger in the 55. I think other than that, everyone else has been deemed in some sort of incident. Maybe the 7 Skyly as well, but those might be the only clean cars in the field.
Skyoli in 7th, who has been rather up and down. You know, he started on the front row a few times and just hasn't been able to hold that position. Started up front. I mean, they changed the graphic. Did he lead a lap? No, he started on the pole and didn't even lead a lap here in the race, because his teammate Jake has just been outmatching him here on the evening. But hold it on within the top 10. Brad Slaughter battling to the inside of Jeff Wright. Jeff Wright, I remember him being in the top 3, but that is not kept in place, and certainly not going to keep in place when you keep hitting the wall like that.
Yeah, Brad Slaughter will take that position away. So 9th place is all Brad's for now. 10th is Jeff Wright. Had a moment there with Ed Shearer Jr. in the 17, or actually that's not it. That was from seasons ago. John Forbes Jr. Got my juniors mixed up. He is 19th on the track. Travis Beckner 22nd. Caught up in a wreck and has yet to recover from that. Guys that are out of the race from the playoffs, Nate Stewart, Zach Kerr, and Blaze McKinney. And with Jonathan Evans not being here, you're looking at those guys being your bottom 4, at least for now, unofficially, heading into next week's event at Nashville. But we've crossed the threshold. We're about to with 50 laps to go. Jake Nichols still leading in front of Zach Nichols, and Nichols, that being Zach, had a little wiggle coming out of 2. Not sure if he tapped the wall, but Jake loving every bit of that as DeWeese and Slaughter look to exchange positions on track.
Yeah, wall contact after wall contact from that 13, as we are now sub 50 laps to go. Just behind that, you have Forrest Smith getting by Wright, who is not heading in the right direction, and he is not off the strategy. He has the same tires as everybody else, just struggling, as DeWeese may cause him to slow up here. And I think Forrest Smith did a solid to Wright there and kind of let him go to the inside, as they saw how slow DeWeese was through the center of the corner, trying to get by. But again, DeWeese, the slower car, but has that preferred lane, and kind of caused a difficult situation for those two behind him.
And Forrest Smith, solid effort. Again, was caught up in an incident, deemed at fault for it, but it's recovered nicely. He's rallied inside the top 10, and he's looking to get around that 13 of Braxton DeWeese for the 9th position. Meanwhile, a little further back outside the top 10, right around 15th, it's the 18 of Nico Servideo. He's going to pound the wall here, but again, was caught up in an incident. He's recovered nicely before being passed by Francis Hamilton. Don't think we've talked about him all night. He's kept it quiet in that 23, and sometimes that's a good thing, especially at Bristol. He's just keeping it calm. Again, marathon, not a sprint, especially with all these yellows. He's worked his way through and is nicely in 15th.
Yep, and someone who is, I said he's just kind of getting, he's kind of been blah all race. Sebastian Marin, well, he's starting to find a little bit of momentum, find a little bit of speed in that number 24, but a little bit too late to make anything significant of it, barring any sort of caution flag. He has closed in on Opplinger. Also worth noting, Zach Nichols has dropped a second off of Jake, so this race starting to spread on out here. Something I don't think we've talked about too many times here today is the actual fall off. Numerically, you can see we're about a second off a lap with now sub 40 laps to go. I talked Tuesday there, Hunter, about the pit of no return lap, of when you'd want to pit, where You can't pit any time after that because it wouldn't be worth it. I feel like if they pit now, if they have a caution anytime between now and probably 10 to go, I feel like you have to pit. But certainly with only 40 to go at Bristol, the amount of pit stops you can make is very limited because the races are so short.
Yeah, your only shot at pitting and it working out for you is if a yellow comes out, and pitting under yellow. Under green, you're going to lose multiple laps, and you're not going to have yourself a good day if they continue to go green to the end. So you're kind of stuck with what you have, especially if you're those who stayed out, like Anna Sogak, Braxton Luis. They're still running in on the lead lap, but their tires are going to be more cooked than those who did come in and pit for fresh tires under that previous caution. As second place, actually third up for grabs, Zach Nichols has fallen.
Zach.
He's almost fallen into the wall with Sebastian Marin, but they exchange places, so Marin up to third again. And the 44, that moment he had to turn to quite a bit of laps ago, that kind of began his downfall, because other than that, before that I should say, he was about 1 to 2 car lengths back from Jake Nichols. After that, he slowly faded back to now fourth on the track. Casey Lucanis, I think that's him coming out of pit road now, so this will be a good indicator of fresh tires versus old tires with still 35 laps to go in the race.
Indeed the case here. Forrest Smith, he's just trying to do everything he can to shorten the right front fender of that car. We talk about netcode contacts. Those aren't netcode. That is wall contact. If so, the netcode model's totally off, but it looks like he's pounding that fence there. But 24th to 8th on the day, and he has been in a couple of incidents here, so that is rather impressive to be able to drive up through the field, be in some incidents, and be in a solid position to get yourself a top 10 running order. Next side by side, we have Jeff Wright, who's now back to 13th, and battle of the sodas here, the pseudo soda Dr. Pepper of Hamilton, and then the actual Pepsi car, and then there goes who is that? David Weishart, 16 laps down, but using the attrition card here, he's going to finish no worse than 25th.
Yeah, there could be another wreck, and he could get some more positions if he wants to. Second place up for grabs. Opplinger running in that runner-up spot for now. Say that as the 24 will slide in front of him off 4, take over that second spot, and now it's just 1.9 seconds separating him from victory as Jake Nichols, with 30 laps to go, still looking for his first victory of season 7.
Yeah, he has won in the trucks, but and I guess sometimes I blend the two series together myself, but yeah, he has not won on a Thursday. Of course, Scioli getting the win there at Kansas, Zach getting a win, I believe, at Loudon, Jeff winning last week, Sebastian winning 5 times on the season, the only one with the goose egg. But what we're watching here on the stopwatch is rather interesting. He is in a myriad of traffic, 0.4 of a second slower last time as he navigated the traffic. Then Marin, the lap times, the lead down to 1.2 seconds. Will the lap traffic be nice to Marin and allow him to keep the speed up? I guess that is the question here.
Well, it all depends on the driver. Lacaze will let him go.
Beckner.
I think Beckner thought that the 24 was going to run outside, so he chose bottom, but yeah, not everyone is a mind reader, but Marin will get around him, and now we'll have to get around the 2 of Greg Mitchell, who will leave the outside open for him. And he's still closing the gap, 1.4 seconds, so he's getting through A-OK. He's got Brody Falker to worry about next, and after that, for the time being, it'll be smooth sailing until Nichols works up on lap traffic again.
Yeah, the net gain there was still about a half second through that traffic, and now it's a matter of just really seeing who has what on the stopwatch. Last time by, a 10th faster. You do a 10th times 22 laps, he'll get there. Will that trend continue, though, is what we'll have to figure out. Maybe lost a little bit of time through dirty air getting by that lapper. Last time by, a skosh faster to Nichols. We'll keep an eye on it for one more time around into the fence. Looks like it is starting to go up, I would say, on average, but let's take those lap times at the stripe. Basically a draw with the advantage going to Nichols, so that isn't going to help any charges here, and neither will that wall contact.
No, and he lost about a couple tenths there from hitting that wall, so not doing himself any favors. Meanwhile, Zach Nichols and James Skyerly having a top 5 battle. Brad Slaughter a couple seconds behind, looking for that battle to continue so he can try to make up some ground. Again, solid recovery after being caught up in a wreck early on. And these guys, again, still duking it out for 5th. It's Nichols on the outside and Skyerly trying to get around him on the bottom, but you see there, corner exit wiggled a bit and could not get the grip to his liking.
There's a wiggle through the center. That'll help Skyerly out get a little bit of momentum, but the Bristol slide job hasn't really been working here in recent builds, so you really have to get the bottom working naturally. Look at up front here. Nichols back in traffic. He had to get by Alan Fox, had to get by Schaefer, now getting by Wright. Marin not really being able to take too much advantage of it, though. The gap staying right around 1.2. But obviously Marin's going to have to navigate it through as well, and he may, lose whatever he gained through that process.
Yeah, and he's still yet to close up to those lap cars, but they're all running the outside, so that's making it a little more challenging for Marin. That is probably the line you want to run in. It's the line the 73 and Nichols is running in, and he has dominated this race. Over 160 laps led. Trying to look through on laps led for Bristol winners. Yeah, he is not going to be near the record of that. That was done by Ryan Hartz back in season 2, where he historically led every single lap. No one even passed him for the lead. He was just that good. But this is about as good as it gets. If you're the 73 of Jake Nichols, the only thing you don't want is a yellow, and that could spice things up.
And right now, this is the closest battle for position. That's Zach to the outside, who has worn those Goodyears down to the cords, metaphorically here, because he has just gone downhill so quickly. Skyerly trying to get that Xfinity car biting around the inside, but he needs all that track and just can't keep that momentum down there. I don't know how he's going to get by, but he is not going to give up, because I'll tell you there, Hunter, there's a big difference in a driver's mind between finishing 6th and finishing 5th. You get a top 10 stat, but you also get a top 5 stat, and he's going to get it by potentially turning him there, but no, he'll back off and he'll let him save it. That was the sportsman-like thing, and also probably prevented him from any incidents.
And that's just what Brad Slaughter needed, because now he's in the running for a potential top 5 finish. And take a look at our instant replay presented by Hendry County through the Megatron. But yeah, the 7 got into the 44, and amazing save from Zach Nichols. Did not bring out a yellow. And those guys will live on to fight another lap, maybe another 12 if this one can continue to go green flag. And yeah,
those tires are gone.
Yeah, they are cooked on the 44. Brad's going to take over 6th. And now Forrest Smith closing in on the 44. Could get 7th at the end of this one.
Yeah, we're just waiting for essentially the tires on that car. They're super hot. And essentially on the Xfinity car, when the tires get hot, they don't recover. That has since changed on the next gen. But on the Xfinity car, once those tires get hot, they don't recover from it. So he is going to be on the struggle bus for the remaining 10 circuits around. Luckily for him, that's only about 2 minutes worth of action. But whether he can survive that for 2 minutes of action is yet to be had, because he is surely not having a good time right now.
And now he's got to deal with Forrest Smith to his inside. His only hope is to just continue running the outside and not let the 15 get around him, as Forrest Smith will try the bottom once more heading into 3 and 4.
He'll try the bottom, and again, look at those hands behind the wheel of that 44 struggling. So we'll assume that he will be okay and he'll hang on. But up front, getting by Nico Servideo is our race leader, and he has the blinking Joseph Berg, he has Anna Sogak, and he has Francis Hamilton. Hamilton in the top 10 as we come to 6 laps to go. Marin has stabilized out around 1 1/3 seconds back. So if you are Nichols, I mean, you could at this point just kind of park it right here. You're not in any immediate rush, and especially you want to be cautious with a blinker ahead of you.
Yeah, and there's still the chance that someone could have a hardware failure and just go right up in you. So if those lap cars give way on the inside, could happen. We saw that happen with John Furness earlier. His car just hooked a dead right into the outside wall. Imagine if that happened to a car on the inside lane. But you see just a wall of lap traffic, if you will, with 4 to go now. Lakatos and Beckner to the inside. Berg blinking up ahead on that outside lane, but still the 73 gets through just fine.
Now 4 laps to go. Remember, all we have to do is get to the white. If we get to the white, the race will finish under green flag. If not, we do have green-white checkers in the bank. Forrest Smith still taking a stab at it by the 44. Senesac behind as well, but we're going to come to 2 laps to go. Looks like that 73 is going to intentionally stay put. That's the smart decision. 2 laps to go, Hunter.
Indeed, 1.3 seconds separating Jake Nichols and Sebastian Marin on track. It's been a dominating effort from the 73 today. And again, if he can get through one more lap unscathed, he'll come through for his first win of the season as the white flag waves one more time from Bristol.
Jake Nichols looking for his first win of the season here in the area Florida State Builders Pro Series playoffs. Looking to get his first win, looking to get the auto punch into the next round, and he's going to get just that. Doesn't have to worry about Nashville. He's locked in. Jake Nichols wins at Bristol.
Dominating effort and coming through for the finish. The rest of the field, no, it's tight back there around 6th. Whoa, look at that. Oh, man, Senesac almost had Forrest Smith up the line, but Zach Nichols does hold on to 7th. That's big, especially in the playoffs. Every position is a point, so that could come in handy come next week at Nashville. But this one will come in handy now for Jake Nichols. His first win of the season couldn't have come at a better time. He locks himself into the round of 8 with his win at Bristol.
Exactly that, and you can celebrate tonight's win with Victory Fuel along with Jake. Your caffeine-free flavors like Throttle Punch, Purple Potion, or Lucky Lemon. Each can pack with electrolytes charged with vitamins and kid-friendly. Get 10% off your order with the area iRacing code at checkout. And that is did he do something illegal? He dominated this race and he just decimated his car in the victory lap. So clearly he's trying to pass Tech.
Well, you got to do it somehow.
Take a page out of old Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus's book, and luckily he'll be able to go to victory lane if he chooses to after he does the Polish victory lap. But let's go ahead and give you our final rundown of results here today from the Bristol Motor Speedway, and they are as follows. Jake Nichols getting the win by a final margin of 1.2 seconds over Sebastian Marin. Justin Opliger in 3rd. Daniel Day in 4th, with Scioli getting a top 5, and then you have Brad Slaughter in 6th. Zach Nichols falling all the way back to 7th, nearly a lap down after that incredible save. Forrest Smith, Bryce Senesac, and Francis Hamilton, a great run for him, running in 10th.
Yeah, career day for Francis Hamilton. Best finish on the season. Same with Forrest Smith. Back-to-back top 10s for both Senesac and Slaughter. Joseph Berg coming up a spot short in 11th, and then cars a lap down or more, and Sogak, DeWeese, Miller, and Schaefer in the top 15, along with Fox, Wright, Falliker, Servideo, and John Forbes Jr. rounding out the top 20.
And then we have 21st through 30th. Travis Beckner had an up and down day of sorts. 21st is the final tally. Casey Lakatos in 22nd. Ed Robertson, Greg Mitchell, David Weishart had speed but couldn't take advantage of it with some incidents. Ben Pierce in 26th. Michael Venable, Garrett Grant, Matthew Batby, Nate Stewart had that cataclysmic hit in the turn 1 wall. He will settle for 30th. We'll have to win next week at Nashville. And then just rounding things out, we got Kerr, McKinney, 2 playoff drivers, Furness, and then Drugmond being shotgun on the field. So we'll head to the Bass Pro Shops victory lane with our winner here today in the form of Jake Nichols, and I believe Hunter has caught up with the victory man.
Yep, it's hard to believe that we're this deep into the season and Jake Nichols is just now getting into victory lane. But Jake, it couldn't have come at a better time. You dominated from start to finish. Take us through your thoughts and your replay of the race that just happened.
Pretty fun. I think the car kind of just drove perfect to my style. I think I recently noticed this tight, like kind of snug but kind of wears loose setup kind of really fits my style, I guess, like to a T. But you know, the 609 car was on rails. I kind of felt like we were gonna be good in the playoffs, especially starting here at Bristol. I had such an amazing pace last season here, but just couldn't pass at all and couldn't get to the lead. And you know what better to do than just get to the lead on lap 1 and not give it up. It was scary a few times with guys staying out, but we managed to get back to the lead and, you know, just set sail. We kind of just ran our pace, kept gaps to certain people the whole time. I think I honestly could have pulled even more there if I really wanted to, but you know, just managing the pace. Didn't want to push too hard just in case of lap traffic there at the end. But we wanted to win 8 races this season, but if you're gonna wait to win, this is the perfect time to do it, right when we're racing for a title here late in the season. So hopefully we get more.
And you get to go into Nashville stress-free, at least in this series. For all 3, it's going to be interesting. We haven't been to Nashville since season 3 for, again, Cup, Pro Series, and Truck. You do have a win, though, in the Cup Series at Nashville, although it was so long ago, back in, I believe, season 2 or season 3. Take us through your initial thoughts on Nashville next week as a whole for you.
Well, thankfully, I don't have to do much there, honestly. We're in a good point spot in the other 2 series. Tonight, honestly, in this series, leading up to tonight, we weren't really in the best spot because everyone was so close, second on back. But a lot of guys had problems, and then obviously we had a great race anyways. So even if we didn't win, we'd have been in a really good spot going to Nashville. But it's been a while. I mean, I think the last time I raced Nashville was actually in season 3 when we won the championship there. It was the finale race. So last time I've only ran Xfinity car 1 time there, and I was not good. So thankfully I don't have to stress about that. Just show up, have some fun, maybe wheel the car around and get some team points to help everybody at 609 and get some momentum for next round, and hopefully we can do the same.
He led 179 of 188 tonight, including the final one for his first win on the season. Congratulations, Jake Nichols, on your victory at Bristol.
Thank you.
All right, and with every winner comes a second place driver, and of course today that is going to be our points leader, Sebastian Mayer. And Sebastian got a second here today, a race that you never really got to the front. You made a charge towards the end, but too little too late. But all in all, you have a good playoff seeding, and now you pad it with a second place. Man, how do you summarize tonight?
Oh man, I would take tonight as a win, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to be the class of the field today or really have much pace in the long run. Obviously, in hindsight, I did have some pretty good pace, but I was just happy if I could just get a top 5. And then, like you said, kind of never got to show my hand. That first run that went, a little bit long, got myself up to second or third. And then restart after the yellow came out, I kept starting on the bottom, which was a disadvantage. I mean, you would just get trained, and then it would just be every restart, I lose 2 spots, restart on the bottom again, lose 2 spots. And then after that, it was just when to pit, avoid the wrecks. And then there at the end, the yellow, before it went green to the end where I got turned, I felt like if it goes green to the end and I'm that much closer to Jake, then it would have been a good battle for the lead. Would I've been able to pass him? Probably not, considering how hard it is to pass. But, I still would have been there, and it would have been a bit more exciting. But overall, still a great recovery. I'll take a P2. That's a win for me here at Bristol. I wouldn't consider myself really great at short tracks. So I would take a second place any day of the week.
Exactly that. Well, next week we keep the concrete theme going. We head to Nashville Super Speedway, a little bit shorter than intermediate, but most of us will consider it to be as such. What's your confidence level heading there next week?
I feel pretty confident, especially last time I drove the car there. The set was very tight, and I seem to like tight sets. I can kind of keep the right front on it. So I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully, we get a bit more runs here going green, because it's fun once you get a couple runs in there, the track opens up and you see fall off. So definitely looking forward to next week. So hopefully keep this momentum up till next week and the rest of the playoffs, and can make a deep run. If not, go for the championship. So.
Absolutely, man. As long as you avoid cataclysmic catastrophes next week, you're probably locked in the next round. So we'll see if you can just trudge through next week, man. Congrats, and we'll see you then.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
And then rounding out our podium, Hunter will have Mr. Justin Oplinger.
Yeah, Justin coming home in third. It's your best finish on the season and your 6th top 10 in your last 8 starts. Take us through your night from Bristol amidst the chaos amongst the rest of the field.
Yeah, it was really crazy, the whole race. I mean, if you just got stuck on that bottom lane and somebody got to your outside, you were just on a train all the way to the back. So, we were beginning of the run, the bottom was a little bit fast the first few laps, but everyone was just fighting for the top once you got close to people after that. But once we got the cautions out of the way, it was pretty clean from there on. It was just kind of chaotic, like you said, through the middle there. It was just caution after caution, and yeah, so we finally got a top 3 in the year. That was my first podium all this year, so that's good for us. We every race we've been getting a little bit better and been pretty consistent all year, staying out a lot of wrecks, been pretty clean. Just this league is so competitive and so tough. This is my first year in it, so but pretty good year so far, and hopefully we can keep doing the same.
Well, you mentioned it's your first year in area, and next week will be the first time since season 3 that the series as a whole has returned to Nashville Super Speedway. So a lot of unknown heading into next Thursday. Take us through your initial thoughts on Nashville.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorite tracks. I've had a pretty decent history there. Just probably gonna just wrap in the bottom there. That's probably the only lane that will work. But it's not my favorite. But I think we have a pretty good points lead on, or points like from the people behind us. So I think I should be all right as long as I just get a consistent top 15, top 10. I should be all right for the next round.
Alrighty, congrats on the podium paying position, and good luck on the next race at Nashville.
Yeah, just one sec. I just want to thank David Weishart for all the help and bringing me onto this team this year. It's been a blast with him and his guys over there, and all my teammates for all the help, mom, dad for the sim, the good Lord above, and you guys for putting on the broadcast every week. It's a great show for you guys and the fans.
All right, appreciate the kind words, Justin, and we'll catch you in Nashville this week.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that'll wrap up our post-race show here today, and I think after this, again, I think I covered all the bases here, and just check out shop.areairacing.com for your merch there, and get all your area accessories, t-shirts, Hounds Champion brand clothing. But Hunter, a good middle ground race, not a total cluster, but not as clean as Monday, kind of good right in the middle balance, and we'll see how the playoff picture will shape out leading into Nashville to set up the next round.
Yeah, those that are in the bottom 4 right now, Jonathan Evans, he's basically must win. Blaze McKinney, Nate Stewart, Zach Kerr, they are below the cutoff line. So John Forbes Jr. by 13 points is above the cutoff line. Travis Beckner by 18. Jeff Wright by 23. Opplinger by 25. And then looking through, Jake Nichols already locked in with a win. And Sebastian Marin is considered locked in points-wise because he is, doing the math right now, he is well over 50 points, might even be over 60 points from the cutoff, so mathematically he'll be locked in as well. Third and fourth, James Skyley and Zach Nichols, they're still good points-wise, but not technically locked in. Again, next week is going to be interesting heading to Nashville Super Speedway. Initial thoughts on that. Not too many for the playoff drivers. Only 3 drivers have been there in the past. Nate Stewart did finish 6th back in season 1, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. He will, well, not necessarily need to win, but he'll be in a spot close to doing that. And then James Skyley won the last time we went there. So lots to look forward to next week for all 3 series in the area.
Of course, check out the Cup Series on IDK Player, and then we'll be here on Tuesday and Thursday. PTR TV will also be live on Sunday and Wednesday with content next week, so make sure you like, subscribe, and don't miss any of the action. But that'll be Corey and Hunter signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.